Events happen that change our lives. Dealing with change is what we do. We discuss with industry professionals objective solutions to work through cherished items and family memories. When we go beyond the gavel, we provide tools and information to deal with these crisis times. Hi, today we're going behind the gavel with Prime Time Healthcare. We have Jason Daly and Irene Holmes with us today. Thank you so much for coming out. This is my first taping since we took a little break with all the virus stuff, and I am so glad that you guys were willing to join me today. So tell me about Prime Time Healthcare. What do you guys do?
Well, Shane, thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate it. Primetime Healthcare, we do medical staffing across the U.S. So we help staff travel nurses, CNAs, LPNs, RNs, and even the allied health professionals across the U.S. in different types of settings, hospitals, long-term care facilities, senior living facilities.
Oh, that's awesome. And what's your role there, Irene?
I have a dual role. I do account management as well as recruitment. So I get the opportunity to work with our client communities as well as a handful of really dedicated healthcare professionals.
Oh, that's awesome. So are you local? Are you international, nationwide? Tell me.
Yeah, well, our business is here in Omaha, Nebraska, is where our headquarters is, but we staff all across the U.S. We're licensed in all 50 states. We have travel nurses and professionals that travel all across the U.S. at different medical facilities and environments across the United States.
That is very, very interesting. So if I was a community, maybe a rural community, when would I call you?
Well, usually it's funny that you say rural because it happens a lot. Communities don't have the resources to pull from, schools or nursing schools or medical schools to get people and stay as well staffed as, the bigger cities. So they're always calling on us because they need help with staffing. They don't have the resources to pull in as many talented individuals to help out, to care for their, whether it be in the hospital and you're caring for, patients, or you're in a long-term care community and you're caring for the elderly. They just can't get enough good quality help. So that's when they call us. They really, they need some help, whether it be for 13 weeks or just a month. They had someone go on maternity leave, or you name it. We're there to just help bridge that gap and give their patients the care they need until they find a long-term solution.
Oh, that is very interesting. So what are you looking for, Irene, when you're looking for CNAs and I'm assuming LPNs,
Sure.
RNs, the whole
RNs,
gamut?
LPNs, CNAs, both acute experience as well as more subacute, long-term care or skilled kind of nursing. And really, we have a very thorough vetting process. We're Joint Commission certified, which is something we're very proud of, which is kind of the gold standard as far as vetting healthcare employees.
Okay.
And that includes background checks, drug screens. We follow state-specific guidelines as well, since each state really operates uniquely in what their governing body requires as far as healthcare workers. So we run the full gamut, and I would have to say that our compliance team is known in the industry as the gold standard. I mean, we really pride ourselves on our ability to provide that as a quality product.
Wow, that is great. That is great news, and that's very interesting and great to be proud of. What would you hire someone in another state? Or do you send people from Nebraska out?
Certainly.
How does that work?
Yeah, what we find is that, as Jason pointed to, a lot of times we are staffing rural communities. And in those communities, there is a limited population to pull from. And oftentimes, if that's going on in that area, it's probably going on in the state. So what we do is we can recruit from within the state, but most of the time, our healthcare employees are traveling away from their homes, hundreds, sometimes 1,000 miles away, to work in these communities. They're there solely for the purpose of providing support while they need it.
That sounds like a kind of an exciting career if you chose to do that, wouldn't it?
It's kind of a work and play scenario. It's a working vacation for a lot of the employees, and they get to travel to areas that they typically wouldn't have chosen to go on vacation. Yeah. And oftentimes they've chosen to complete subsequent assignments or contracts after the fact in the same area.
Oh, that's very cool. I saw a little smile when she mentioned about their traveling. Tell me about that.
No, I mean, it's great that we're in this industry, that we get to help out people who need care, and that we have so many great medical professionals that work with us to provide that quality care to, you know, patients in need.
Oh, that's great.
And that's a huge deal, you know, for us to be able to provide that care, but it's even more important for those people in rural communities or wherever that need is at the time, for our people to go there, do a good job, and they typically enjoy where they be because they've never been there before, or it's somewhere different that they get to experience while they're working.
Yeah,
so it's
a whole
pretty
different
neat.
culture city and great things. That's wonderful. So when you mentioned that you are an Inc. 5000 company, tell me how you earned that.
I think a lot of it has to do with our organic growth. Seems like so many companies grow by acquiring other companies, but Primetime Healthcare has completely grown organically in our going on 9 years
Wow, that's
in the
great.
industry.
Yeah, so we started out in 2012, and you know, it takes until you're eligible about 4 years till you can apply to be on the Inc. 5000, and then that first year we applied, you were number 59. So just huge testament to the hard work of the team at Primetime and all the traveling medical professionals at Primetime to be able to get us to that level. And then since then, you know, for the last 4 years, we've been on the list as well. So it's just, we have the right team in place, the right medical professionals traveling with us, unbelievable clients and facilities that we work with across the U.S., and the internal staff is, as Irene kind of touched on earlier, is just amazing. From, you know, the account managers, the recruiters, the compliance team, our accounting team, everybody here, the owners, just first class. So that's what helps us to be able to hit these milestones that we continue to hit.
So how did you guys determine that this was something that you wanted to do? Did you hear somebody complaining about it, or was it in your travels, or how'd you come up with the concept?
I think sometimes the best laid plans are the ones that just happen. And travel has been, or contract nursing has been a thing for well over 2 decades now. And we found that there was a underserved market, especially in our long-term care division, where historically travel or contract nursing was really reserved for those allied professionals or nursing professionals in a acute or hospital environment. And so when we stumbled upon the realization that these long-term care skilled communities were hurting for quality employees, staff members, we decided to partner with them at that time. It was a lot of trial and error initially, and since then I would say that nobody does it as well as we do. We are kind of the gold standard, and I think we pioneered the industry in the growth that it's at today.
Oh, that's great. So you're a standout company. What do you think is the most important thing for your staff to remember when they walk into a facility and say hello?
Well, they're not just representing themselves. They're representing Primetime. They're representing future contractors that are going to be walking in that building.
Yep.
Other CNAs, other LPNs, other RNs, other PTs, OTs. And really they're laying groundwork for future opportunities for other contractors.
That's great. That's great. So, Jason, you are the, let me look here, what's the MSP director, and tell me about the fund committee.
Oh,
You
MSP
celebrate.
Fund Committee, they're both fun. So the MSP is a managed service provider.
Okay.
Primetime, we created this division about 2.5 years ago. We just saw a need in long-term care specifically. That's how we started in the industry. And as a managed service provider, we basically handle the staffing needs for our partner client facilities. So we manage that process for them. They've come to trust us. They know we're great over the years. We always come through with quality medical professionals. Our process for compliance, being Joint Commission certified, we take the right steps so they can count on us to do the right thing all the way through the process. So we went out, and the managed service agreement or managed service provider is a way to strengthen that relationship with our partners. And then we help, and then we can't as we grow and we continue to grow, we can't fill every need out there for every one of our clients. So we partner with other affiliate agencies like us who want to come in and help, and help staff these places that we have great relationships with. So when we get a need from a facility and they say, oh, we really need 2 RNs, or we really need 2 LPNs or 2 CNAs, whatever it may be, we send that need out internally, as well as to our 50 other affiliate agencies that we partner with to help fill the need. And so everybody submits candidates. The goal is to take the best candidate out there possible for the client facility, so that way they get their needs met faster. Because as we continue to grow, as the industry continues to grow, everybody's just needs more help and more quality help. So we have an unbelievable group of affiliates that we've established a partnership with that help us just meet the needs, for all of our clients and all the patients out there, residents out there, and all the communities, healthcare communities across the U.S.
So do you do any home health care?
We don't really do a lot of home health care. We don't. And we can, but it's just not. It's harder, and it's unique, because when you're talking about in the home, there's so many variations of how long they need the care. Is it just for a couple hours? Is it all day, every day? Those types of things. And you can't really monitor. It's hard to monitor what goes in their home, so there's a lot more regulations and insurance requirements that come along with the home healthcare side of things. It's definitely a huge growing piece, but it's more difficult from a standpoint to be able to really schedule that staff, hold them accountable, have somebody. If you go into a normal hospital environment or a long-term care facility, you have your admin, you have your DON, you have your charge nurses in place, that everything's organized, they're on a schedule, and they clock in, clock out. When you're going to a home, there's so many variables that take away from the standard process of how we do staffing. So long and short, there's a need there. It's not something that we've fully mastered yet.
Right.
But
I kind of like to stay in my own lane too. With some of the businesses that I have, there are some things that I can do. So I'm glad I asked you that, because you would not be someone I would call for that type of a need. I would call you as a facility or a community.
right.
And that's what you do, and that's what you do best. And it's a great thing that you're doing. If I wanted to ask you what you think about the communities, do you think they're going to continue as strong as they have been, or with the recent pandemic, do you think that's going to have an effect on what people think about the environments?
Sure.
I think that the communities are actually going to be strong. There's a need for care as people get older, and there's a need for care as people get injured. So I think that's not going away, but it's definitely been a challenging time for everybody. So we've all had to adapt. The good thing about prime time is, we've been doing this for so long. We stay positive and we find a way to meet our clients' needs. Sure. We find a way to adapt to that, whatever that change. If they need more help, then we put in extra hours to make sure they get more help, or we set different expectations as they're going to the facility, or there's different testing that's required before they walk into a facility, where we didn't ever have to worry before if they were coming from Texas and going to work in California. Mm-hmm. No big deal. Well, now, if they were in Texas, do they have COVID in that facility? Have they been around that type of environment? And if so, are they going into a new environment that has that or not? And so we need to test. There's different procedures, processes in place now more than ever before that we have to jump through that we never did. So everybody's learning as we go, but I think not only prime time, but just the industry as a whole has adapted well and really worked to help the medical community, through all this.
I think it's been great.
And what we do know is that the baby boomers retiring, our aging population, and long-term solutions for that aging population is only probably going to increase. So I feel like we're in a growing environment. I see more buildings opening than I do closing.
Yeah.
I see more opportunities for growth and employment transversely. So I do think overall it's a strong environment right now. The communities are going to continue to grow for long-term care and skilled environments, as well as the acute environments.
It's great.
I think one more thing there, the really tough thing there is the way it's really changing is more for the residents, because they're so used to their families coming in, being part of that. When you get to that stage in your life and you want to enjoy that part as much as you can, your family wants to be there for you. Yeah. And that's probably the biggest challenge. There's always going to be a need for staff to help, but how do we make that experience the best for the residents at this time? Not only the proper staffing levels that each facility needs, but to make them feel welcome, in a place maybe some of them don't always want to be, or maybe they're to a point where they have to be there. How do we make that as comfortable for them as possible? And that's something that I think we really have to adapt to and figure out.
I think we have to as a nation, absolutely.
So one thing that is really poignant for me is prior to this boom in the skilled environments utilizing contract staff, they were utilizing PRN or per diem or as needed agency employees. And these individuals would come into their communities for maybe 1 shift a week, 2 shifts a week, 1 shift a month, 2 shifts a month. And it's hard to lay out any kind of continuity of care for these residents. And that detracts from that at-home, age-in-place, family, community environment. So when our contractors, our employees, our healthcare professionals arrive in the building, they're there for a longer period of time, 10, 12, 13 weeks. Most of my average traveler, if you will, probably stays in the building for about 13 weeks to 26 weeks, so almost 6 months. I have many return travelers that take subsequent contracts at the same community. And what that allows is a continuity of care. Their daily plan can be executed more thoroughly and with quality.
Well, I know it means so much to people to see the same people every day, and
Yep.
especially the people in the communities. They love their staff and the people that they
Yes.
see every day. So I can see how that would be a very, very big plus on you guys' behalf. That's awesome.
Sure.
So have you sent your people all through the certified COVID-19 training certification, and how long did that take?
Well, there's so many different states, so many different regulations in facilities specific, even within the states, of what they require each professional to go to when it comes to handling COVID or the proper procedures. So it's different all over, but everybody's probably gone through it way more than they want to go through it, right? I mean, I'm sure they're tired of going through the training right now.
Yeah, but it's so important, and we
Yeah.
do have to keep the people that are in there safe, and it's just a really strange time that we're living in right now, but we really don't want to talk a lot about that. We want to talk about what you guys' plans are for the future.
Well, I mean, prime time, as you know, we're always continuing to grow, continuing to serve each community that we're in, and we're going to continue to grow. I mean, we just opened up this year our allied divisions of the company. Like I said, we started the MSP 2.5 years ago, which we have over 170 partner facilities, part of our
That's amazing.
MSP. So in a short period of time, just that growth, and they see the consistency that Primetime has and the quality that we always consistently come with every single time, and they just get used to it. So that right there, just doing the right things in business, just being a good partner, caring about our communities, that each community that we work with in each state, not even if we're trying to grow, it just happens because we're doing the right things. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing is we have the right people. We have unbelievable owners that care about each person in the organization. It's a family environment. It's not just, everybody picks everybody up. And so when you're a part of that kind of team, pulling for each other, finding ways to look to be successful and looking for the positive, it just seems to win. So it's not like we, Primetime came in, so we're going to build this huge company, or we just wanted to serve a purpose, found a good niche, and then if you have the right people in place, it just kind of falls in line. So we've been very lucky.
Well, it's a collision of the best of everything, it sounds like, to continue that growth process. I would like to follow you guys and see how it goes in a year, because I think that's incredible, especially with your growth rates that you're having right now. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us about Primetime that we haven't covered, like how to come and apply? Or
Sure. Well, it's www.primetimehealthcare.com, and there's an application process. However, we also have a Facebook page, Primetime Healthcare, and you can chat live both on our website as well as Facebook. You can send us a message. We have a great team, a social media team that does a wonderful job with intake in both healthcare professionals as well as healthcare communities.
Great. So I have to ask you, Jason, what is the celebrations and fun over the years?
Celebrations and fun. Well, we've been lucky. We've been fortunate to have quite a few celebrations and been able to really take the time to appreciate all the hard work we put in. We've been recognized by the Baird Home Best Places to Work in Omaha 4 years,
Nice.
4 consecutive years in a row. Sustained Excellence Award. It's crazy to think, because it's humbling. We're here trying to help, serve a purpose throughout the medical community, and just to be rewarded, I think, is exciting, but it's more importantly, I think, the people you work with that make all those accolades
You're absolutely
happen and appreciate. So it's not really about all the awards or being, best place to work in Omaha, or that we're striving for that. It just happens as we do those things. But we really, that's one thing Primetime does a great job of internally, as far as taking care of internal employees that are working hard every day, is the appreciation factor. Just stepping back and realizing it's easy to grind every day and work and not ever step back and say, hey, thank you.
Sure.
And Primetime as a company does a great job to do little outings and events and take, everybody out to, a baseball game at Werner Park, or go on a party bus, for the day, or just travel around Omaha to, stop at different sites and events and just really get out and have time to be yourself when you're putting in a lot of work. That doesn't always get recognized. So we're very fortunate to work for a company that appreciates their employees as much as Primetime.
Absolutely, that's great. When you guys, do you have a testimonial or a story or something that you'd like to share of something that's really have warmed your hearts?
For me, it probably has to do with, it's not one particular story. Oftentimes I receive letters or emails from directors of nursing, administrators, family members of individuals living in these communities, in these residences. And oftentimes it's a letter just in gratitude, ultimately gratitude. And a lot of them really pull at my heartstrings, create an emotional response for me, because these people are truly impacting the lives of an individual for the better. And it's not just felt within that one individual, but that ripple effect to where their own family members see the quality of life that they're receiving. I think that there's no other value than that, a greater value than that.
Jason?
Man, testimony. I like to tell the Primetime story of starting in a little shed on First Street in Papillion, and I didn't work for the company at the time, but I happened to work down the road, and I drive by, and it's funny to come from that little 4-person little shed, just off the side of the road, into being able to as Irene said, just being able to affect so many lives positively. Not only families that have, you know, their moms or dads in these long-term care facilities or communities, or to be able to help, you know, staff a hospital in need.
Humbling beginnings, isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean,
It
it's
really
just
is.
Yeah.
just to really, you know, just look at that and just, that was never, you know, you didn't see that day one, but you come back and it's just like, man, this is exciting. It's exciting that we've came this far, and we're just very fortunate to be in that position.
Absolutely. You guys have the true hearts of entrepreneurs, that is for sure. Any advice for anybody out there that might need your services, or what's an identifying thing? No staff, your nurses aren't coming in?
Well, yes. If you're having any staffing issues anywhere in the medical industry, call Primetime. I mean, we have the best people that will take care of you. I mean, short staff, maternity leave, you know, something with a pandemic. We hope it doesn't happen, but if you need relief at that point in time, whatever the situation is, staffing-wise, whether it's 1 month you need 2 people, or 13 weeks you need 10 people, we have the resources to be able to help you and come through in that situation.
That is awesome. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Irene?
No, we're just so grateful to be here. We've really enjoyed our time, and we absolutely are very passionate about what we do. We've grown our families on the backs of Primetime Healthcare. I can say that especially. And even though we have owners of the company officially, I feel like each employee internally and probably externally too feels a sense of ownership for Primetime Healthcare.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Approximately, one last question, how long would it take to get started with Primetime if I was a facility and needed to call?
It's a
Is there a
pretty
process?
There is. It's a pretty quick process. You know, we have an agreement in place. Once we get the agreement in place, we would then send out the need internally, or to our recruiters to find whatever your need was. And then once we find that right person, we would have to get them drug screen, background check, the proper credentialing to make sure they're good to step foot in your facility and have gone through all the proper paperwork.
Absolutely.
So that full process, beginning to end, can really happen in about a week. If we get through the initial paperwork pretty quick and somebody knows I need help, and then we start sourcing for the right candidates for their facility, we can make that happen pretty quickly.
That is great. Well, Jason Daly and Irene Holmes with Primetime Healthcare, thank you so much for coming to our show today. We needed to know what you guys are doing out there and how you're doing it, and I think we've learned an awful lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having us.